Just 1 month after the murders at Moselle, SLED lead detective David Owens arranges for a second formal interview, this time taking place on his turf. Alex, accompanied by his attorney and friend Corey Fleming, meet with the detective intent on gaining information as to the progress of the investigation. But Detective Owen has other plans. In this interrogation, as Alex cracks under the pressure, Detective Owens lays out the facts known so far that point to Alex Murdaugh's direct participation, asking Alex point blank, "Did you murder your wife and son?" Welcome to Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite, Murdaugh, Episode 8, The Interrogations, Part 2. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite. I'm your host, Jim Chapman, and today we are continuing with the 8th episode in the Murdaugh series. And I'm going to call this one The Interrogations, Part 2. So, as I told you in the last episode, the interrogations are the biggest pieces of the puzzle in this case, primarily because Alex Murdaugh cannot shut the fuck up. He answers questions he's not even asked, and he provides details that go way beyond the scope of what the detectives would ask him. Now, today I'm going to proceed in the same way I did last week, and that's by playing you the entire interrogation, but having breaks as we go along to discuss what it is you just heard. So let me set the scene in this one. And shockingly, this one does not take place in a vehicle. It actually takes place in an interrogation room. And the people in that room are two detectives, the lead detective, David Owens, and Detective Jeff Croft, both from SLED, as well as Alex Murdaugh and Alex Murdaugh's bestie / attorney, Corey Fleming, and you'll remember his name from past episode. Here's what that interrogation sounded like, and we'll start at the beginning.
All right. Alec, I appreciate you coming in today. I know we got a lot to talk about. You have millions of questions. But before we get started with your questions, this has been going on for over 2 months, and we've done a lot of work.
I know you have.
And I've got some more questions that I need to get clarifications on.
Sure.
Okay. So we'll start with that.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought we were coming here so you could update him on what's going on.
And I intend to do that as
okay, let's do that first.
Okay.
Let's do that first.
The update is I'm doing the investigation, and I have some questions that I would like some answers to. And I mean, certainly if I ask the question, if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to answer it.
No, I'm fine with that.
I mean, it's more clarifications of the 2 interviews you've already given me.
Totally understand.
Okay.
Just wait 1 second.
Yeah.
Wait 1 second. All right. I need for you to tell me, are you going to give us information, or are we just here for you to ask questions?
I'm going to give you some information.
Right. Why can't you give us information first?
Some of the information that you're asking about are in my questions. And as we go through, you'll see.
Okay.
I don't mind.
I know you don't, but I can't. I mean, I'm a friend, but I'm also a lawyer, and I like to know what we do. I like to understand what we're talking about. I need you to answer this question.
Okay.
Are you asking him questions to further your investigation, or are you asking him questions because you think that he's a suspect? I need a straight answer.
I am asking these questions to further my investigation.
All right. Does that mean that you're not asking him these questions as a suspect? Because
Go ahead. Say it.
because I'm not comfortable with you asking him questions as a suspect when I came here with the thought that you were going to be telling him where you are in the investigation, what it is you've done, seen, uncovered, whatever. That's why we came here.
Well, let me respond to your question.
Yeah.
It may not be a direct answer that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told Alec this when we first met. Any homicide investigation,
Mm-hmm.
you start with the closest person and or the person who found the deceased.
Mm-hmm.
Both cases, that's Alec.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody stays in that investigation until we can get them out.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, because of the questions that I have that I need explanations for, I cannot get Alec out.
Okay. Right. That's a reasonable statement. I don't have any problem with that statement. That's fine. I don't read it, but everybody in the United States of America has an opinion on this case.
Mm-hmm.
And because I know everybody, I know it's a bunch of bullshit. I can't imagine that y'all are going to be asking about nonsense in the internet.
No.
Well,
I mean, just like you, I'm aware of what's out there.
Yeah.
I have not read every article. I don't care to read every article because they're not doing the investigation.
That's
I
right.
am.
That's right. All right. Well, Alec, if you're comfortable and you feel okay,
yes,
then that's fine.
Do
But I'm
anything to help.
all right. That's fine.
All right. So as you heard there, they sit down, they start talking, and right out of the gate, Alex's bestie, Corey Fleming, he tries to put David Owens, the lead investigator, on the defensive. And from past episodes, we know how much of a piece of shit Corey Fleming is, right? He's the same guy who represented the family of Alex's former housekeeper who died on his property. Now, shout out to David Owens, who so far has been handling this with a lot more patience than I would have. I can tell you that. And he even takes time to explain what I've told you many times throughout this series. You work these cases from the inside out. You start with the people closest to the victim, and your job as an investigator is to find a way to rule them out until they're completely ruled out. And until that happens, they're still in that circle. So finally, David Owens, he backs Corey Fleming off. And we continue.
So I want to go back to Monday morning. And you went to the office.
Okay.
What time did you go to the office? Who was at your house when you left? And what time did you go to the office?
We had been to a ball game that weekend. I don't remember exactly what time. It would have been somewhere between 8:30 and 9:30, probably.
Okay.
10 o'clock maybe at the latest.
Okay.
Something like that.
And when I ask about time, I'm not saying it was 5:11 or something like that. I
Totally
mean
understand.
ballpark.
That's
As close as you can get to it.
And if you need to know exactly when, there would be a keypad that will tell when exactly I went in my office
Okay.
that I can get for you.
Okay.
So
So you have a key fob to get in your office?
a card.
A card.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay.
But a little bit. It was probably a little bit on the later side of that. I guess I know Maggie got up early to get out of there because she had an appointment in Charleston. Just don't remember if I left right after she did or I piddled around.
But, and I already know that Paul stayed at John Marvin's that night, so it was just you and Maggie at the house.
That's correct.
And I know when you were at the office, you were working on motions, and some of those motions you dealt with were for Paul's, the boat accident, or the boat case.
I'm not really doing the legal work.
I understand, but you're Paul's dad, you're a lawyer, you're definitely going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So what were those motions? Did it deal with Parker's, or was it the actual boat accident, or?
It was the civil case.
Okay. What time did you leave and get home?
Earlier than normal. I'd say 5:30.
When you left the office?
Sir.
Okay. What time did Paul get home that night?
Me and Paul got there about the same time. Maybe he was a little bit later than me, or maybe a little bit earlier than me, but it was close to the same time.
Okay. And y'all rode around the farm. I believe you said 2 different trucks, or 2 different vehicles.
So,
what were those 2 different vehicles?
we rode in the white pickup truck, and we rode in the black pickup truck.
In either one of those, did you see any long guns? Take your time.
It's okay.
Did you see any rifles or shotguns?
I don't remember seeing any that day, no. We did have pistols.
Yeah, because I know you said you went target practicing.
Well, not really target practice,
Okay,
just shoot.
Yeah.
We rode around for a couple hours, just looked at everything. All the stuff Paul did on the farm. And we just spent, time together. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize.
Hey, you can do this? I can do it. We started out going to look at the sunflowers because we was worried about the sunflowers. That was the first thing we looked at, and we just rode. We just rode and looked at. We hadn't done it in a while. We just rode, talked, and rode, talked.
What you talk about?
Everything, just. One of the main things, he'd been having trouble, his feet had swelled up, and we were worried about blood pressure and stress on him, and he handled all this stuff so amazingly, but we were just so worried about it. But we talked about that, we talked about the farm, we just talked about everything.
Has Paul been seeing a doctor for his feet?
No, sir.
So y'all trying to get him to go?
Trying to get him to go.
And he was resistant?
Yeah, he had been resistant, but much less so after his feet swelled up. He'd been having all kind of little problems, but much less after his feet swelled up.
As parents, I'm sure you and Maggie stayed on him about going. How did he respond to you?
To going out?
No, going to the doctor.
He did.
When y'all talked about it.
He's very resistant. Very, very resistant. We talked to him about seeing a doctor, about the stresses of everything with the boat wreck. He didn't think he needed to do that. We tried to watch him really closely. That he was resistant.
What time did Maggie get back home that night?
Later. I'd say probably, the best I can tell, a couple hours after we got there.
When you and Paul returned back to the house, was Maggie there?
I can't remember if Maggie came by the shed when Paul and I were up there, or if we met her at the house. But, you know, it's not unusual for her, if we're messing around, for her to swing through up there.
Mm-hmm.
And Maggie was supposed to be coming home. I've since found out she was worried about me, and me worried about my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so she came home.
All right. Did you hear what was just said? Alex says Maggie came home because she was worried about his dad. And that's key, because up until this point, we did not know that Alex and Maggie were having problems. And she was not even living at Moselle at the time of her murder. Also in that clip, Alex exhibits again a telltale sign he is lying. He's talking way too much. He's expanding on the questions and answering questions before he is even asked the question, which shows he's been thinking about it prior to being asked the question. Probably relived that interrogation in his head the night before 100 times. And that fake crying, y'all. That's about the most irritating cry in the world. Alex Murdaugh. Anyway, we'll proceed with the interrogation.
And Maggie was supposed to be coming home. I've since found out she was worried about me, and me worried about my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so she came home.
Where was she going to stay that night?
At Edisto. We were having work done down there. And I wasn't 100%, but it's pretty well she was going to stay at Edisto.
What kind of surprised you that she came back?
That didn't totally surprise me. She'd let me know earlier that she was coming home. But then I found out later why she came home.
She was concerned for you.
Sir?
What time did y'all sit down and eat dinner?
Not too long after that. Blanc had made dinner. And so the three of us ate dinner together.
What was the conversation around the dinner table?
No. Regular stuff. I mean, I can't tell you exactly, but...
How was Maggie's appointment in Charleston that day?
I think it had gone good. We didn't really get the chance to talk about it in detail. She's been having a couple little medical issues. I can't even remember which one. It wasn't anything huge. I can't remember exactly which one she went for.
And after dinner, Maggie and Paul went to the kennels, or?
You know, I don't know exactly how that went. I stayed on the couch and I dozed off. And then I got up.
Did you watch TV that night?
I know the TV was, I believe the TV was on. But I wasn't watching it,
There is a video on Paul's phone of you and him on the farm that night, and you were in khaki pants and a dress shirt. You were playing with a tree.
I don't remember playing with a tree.
Yeah, I guess there was a tree sapling or something that had fallen over or bending over, and you were trying to get it to stand up. But I mean, the question in that is, when I met you that night, you were in shorts and a t-shirt. At what point in that evening did you change clothes?
Right there, the first bomb drops for Alex. So Alex is weaving this story, right? Everything he did the day and night of the murders. But at no point does he mention changing clothes. And what Alex didn't realize until right there at that very moment of that interrogation was there was a video of him in a completely different set of clothes than what Detective Owen saw him have on at the crime scene. Alex must have completely forgot he had a hunting camera in a tree. And that hunting camera caught him earlier that day with Paul on the property in dress clothes, khaki pants, and a collared shirt. However, when he was at the scene of those murders and detective walked up, he had on a t-shirt and shorts. But he never mentioned in any of these prior interrogations anything about changing clothes. So his story is unraveling right before our eyes. And in the interrogation video, which I'm going to upload to Patreon, you got to see his reaction when he's asked, "So, Alex, when did you change clothes?" It is classic. We continue on.
I'm not sure. It would have been
Before dinner or after dinner?
No, it would have been. What time of day was that? I would have thought I'd already changed.
There's not a time stamp on it because there's so many posts. But I want to say it looks to be about dusk. So that would have been 7:30, 8 o'clock.
I guess I changed when I got back to the house.
Earlier when we spoke, and you talked about waking up from your nap and then going to check on your mother, and you tried to call Maggie and you tried to call Paul, and then you sent Maggie a text that you were going to check on your mother. You also told me that Maggie didn't normally go with you to check on your mother, but that she might ride that night. Did you go by and check on her?
Go by and check on my mom?
Maggie, before you let you go?
No, I didn't.
With her not responding to you and thinking that she might ride with you, why didn't you?
I don't remember having plans that Maggie was going to ride with me. But maybe she had told me that she was that night. I don't recall that. I don't remember that specifically, but it wasn't. She didn't normally go with me. It's not like we had plans that she was going to ride with me, but if she was going.
These are just some maps I pulled off of Google.
Okay.
What route did you take from Moselle to your mom's?
I would have gone to the right on Moselle Road, 63, into Barnville, turn left on the road, right before 278, 601, and then in front of the school, turn right. That's how I believe I went.
Now, what you just heard was Alex trying to explain that he doesn't remember changing clothes, which is weird because he can remember everything else. He just can't remember that. Then Detective Owen pulls out some Google Maps and he's wanting Alex to explain how he traveled home at night and during the day that day. And the reason they're doing this is they're trying to figure out when he could have dumped the guns. Remember, they don't have the murder weapons. Now, they don't tell him that, of course, but that's what they're doing. They're trying to figure out what his path would have been to and from that property to see if those murder weapons show up in a lake that was on the way or something. But there was not a whole lot that came out of the conversation with those maps of any interest, so I cut some of that out. Then Detective Owens asked Alex about visiting his mother because that's essentially Alex's alibi. He couldn't have done it because at the time the police had nailed down, the murder had to happen between this time and this time, Alex was at his mother's. He couldn't have been at both places at once, right? That's his story. But Owens presses him on that time frame in this clip.
How often did you go visit your mother that night?
I mean, it wasn't infrequent. It wasn't all the time. I mean, visit her, all times a day.
Just checking on her, especially with your dad being sorry.
She had been having a particularly, she's got Alzheimer's really bad, or pretty bad. And she had been particularly agitated. With him not being there, and checked on her more in the days and weeks following my dad's passing than, otherwise, but several times a week, any time.
How long would you say you were at your mom's that night?
45 minutes, an hour.
You had to get back home. Did you make any stops on the way?
On the way there.
On the way to your mom's work on your return trip back home?
Stops. No, I didn't go anywhere. I went straight there. I did not. No, sir.
And earlier in the day when you were down at that shed in the kennels with Paul, did y'all discuss any injuries to any dogs?
Did he and I? No, but Rogan Gibson told me about the dog's tail, and somebody saying his leg was broken.
Stop it, please. Any dogs?
Did he and I? No, but Rogan Gibson told me about the dog's tail, and somebody saying his leg was broken.
Which one's his dog?
It's a chocolate puppy, I think.
Okay. Was the leg broken?
Not that I know of.
I can certainly see why something might be wrong with his tail, because when I was out there, he was chasing his tail and looking through the fence and trying to grab it. So that was all that puppy energy. When you got back to Moselle, which driveway did you enter?
I went into brick gates.
And Maggie and Paul weren't there. Were there vehicles at the house?
Yes, sir.
How did they get down there that night?
I was hoping you were going to be able to tell me that.
The only thing that I can come up with is that black truck. Is that Buster's old black truck?
Yes, sir.
Does it normally stay down at the farm, or does it stay at the house?
Both.
Both. Did Maggie ever walk down there?
Maggie walked down there a lot. But Paul, I mean, if you showed me some proof that Paul walked down there that night, I would be surprised. Absolutely surprised.
Well, thinking about Paul's health concerns, do you think Maggie could have gotten him to walk that night? Say, come on, let's walk with me this one time.
You know, it's possible, but again, that would be highly, highly unusual. He would have talked her into riding. Been highly unusual for him to walk.
So when you were at the kennels, you were just down there with Paul. You left and went back to the house for dinner.
You know, I mean, Paul and I were just knocking around up at the shop, the shed, the kennels, and just the whole property. And that was before dinner, yes, sir.
And you didn't go back down there after dinner until you returned trip from visiting your mother?
Yes, sir.
I've got information that Paul was on the phone and Maggie was heard in the background and you were heard in the background, and that was prior to 9 p.m.
I heard Rogan Gibson ask me if I was up there. He said he thought it was me.
Detective Owens just dropped an even bigger bomb. This was the first time, y'all, that Alex Murdaugh found out he was actually on a recording with his voice in the background. Now, Rogan did ask Alex previous to this interrogation. As a matter of fact, he asked him just a couple of days after the murders when family was at the Moselle property comforting Alex. He asked him if he was at the kennels. And he let him know, I could have sworn I heard you in the background. So Alex wasn't surprised the question would come up. However, he was surprised they had it on recording. And you can see it all over his face in the actual video that I'm uploading to Patreon. Let's see how Alex responds to being pressed about him being at those kennels after he lied and said he was not at the kennels with Paul and Maggie.
Was it you?
At 9 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
No, sir. Not if my times are right.
Who do you think it could have been?
I have no idea.
And Rogan's been around your family for pretty much all of his life.
Oh, absolutely.
And he recognizes your voice, and you have a distinct voice. Do you think of anybody else that has a voice similar to yours that he may have misinterpreted?
No, sir. You know, when we were talking, he had asked me that. So, I mean, he had told me that he thought I was up there.
Did that surprise you?
Yes, sir.
So when you returned back to the kennels, when you returned home from your mother's, where were the dogs?
They were like they were when I didn't put dogs up.
Okay.
So
they weren't running loose.
However they were.
Okay. At one point in the 911 call, you say here, like you're talking to somebody else or something else.
I say here?
Here, yes, sir. So the dispatcher is asking you if they're breathing, and you said no. And she asked did you see anyone else in the area, and you said no. She asked about guns near them, and you said no. And then you kind of stutter and start moving around, and you said here.
I don't have any memory of saying that. I guess I'd have to listen to it but I don't recall a dog being out. I'm certain that there was not a dog out. There's other things people have told me about that 911 call that I don't remember. I don't know here. Like I was calling a dog.
Calling a dog, talking to somebody else. I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Yes, sir. And there obviously was nobody else out there.
Okay.
And I'm things on the internet that, just but nothing new, no sir.
So during the 911 call, and we also talked about that night, you returned back to the house to get a shotgun.
Yes, sir.
What door did you enter?
The best that I can remember, I went in the side door, and I went straight to the gun cabinet.
Were you focused on any particular shotgun, or you just grabbed one?
I just grabbed one.
How do you normally load your shotguns? Avid hunters load shotguns special ways, different types of munitions, and I'm just asking you how you load yours.
I normally put it in the chamber and push the button.
What type of shot do you load?
All kinds. I've loaded bird shot, buck shot, slugs, skeet shot.
At the same time? Would you load like a bird shot and a buck shot in the same load?
Not normally. Normally you put them in, a load for whatever you're hunting.
Mm-hmm. The reason I'm asking about that, the shot shells that we recovered that night, one was a turkey load, one was buckshot.
I understood that.
The shotgun that you had with you that night, there was a bird shot and a buckshot. When Jeff went back the next day, I'm not sure which attorney it was, pointed out that there had been a shotgun laying on the pool table that he had put away, and pointed out that ammunition that was with that, and it was a buckshot and a bird shot. And then the shotgun that we took for potential comparison, it was also loaded with a bird shot and a buckshot. So I have all of these consistent loads along with what's that in the feed room. I call it the feed room at the kennels. Is that what you call it?
That's
Okay.
good enough.
Okay. If I say feed room, I just want you to know what I'm talking about.
The night I grabbed the shells that I could get my hands on, I don't, I had no idea exactly what I had.
Okay.
Busted. At this point, Alex knows he's fucked. He knows the detectives know he's been lying. And again, you can see it all over his face. If you notice in that clip, Detective Owen is trying to give him kind of an out, trying to see if Alex will just take the bait and say that Rogan was wrong and it was someone else's voice in the background. And he even asked him, is it possible he misinterpreted your voice? And Alex actually admits that Rogan could not have misinterpreted his voice. And that was a genius move on the part of the detective, because when Alex said that, the detective had Alex saying it had to be me at those kennels, essentially, without saying it. And y'all know it ain't hard to figure out if it's Alex Murdaugh or not on that recording, because he has one of the most aggravating voices, according to the responses that I'm getting on the Facebook page, that anyone could possibly have. It's definitely distinctive. Now, he also mentions the 911 call, and he says that Alex in the 911 call is heard saying here to somebody. And I played that for you several episodes ago, that full 911 call. And indeed, he does say here at one point. And again, the detective says, was a dog out of the kennel? And you were saying here, calling the dog. And it was Alex that offered up and said, no dogs were out of the kennel. But it begs the question, was he handing something to an accomplice? And while you're simmering on that, we'll get into the buckshot and birdshot loads they were talking about with him. And what they were talking about, they were referencing on the scene that they found Paul shot, and there were two different types of shotgun shells. One type of load was buckshot. One type of load was birdshot. And y'all, it's very irregular for both loads to be in the same shotgun at the same time. Usually it's one or the other. And why would he press Alex so hard on that? And I'll tell you the answer. It's because the shotgun that Alex grabbed, remember he left the kennels, went to the house, got a shotgun, and came back because he was quote unquote scared. That shotgun was loaded with two different types of loads, birdshot and buckshot. And y'all, that is so irregular. It almost automatically connects Alex to the crime. But we continue.
Also, when we talked, I asked you if it was normal to keep guns down at the kennels. And you said you would have to check. Have you been able to check to see what was missing from your collection?
I have. Yes, I know what's missing from what I believe is missing from our guns.
Okay. And what are those?
There's 3 guns that I think are missing.
Okay. And what kind of guns are those?
It would be a Benelli shotgun, a Browning shotgun, and a pump shotgun.
The Benelli and the Browning, are they pump or autos?
The Benelli and the Browning are automatic.
And the pump shotgun, what brand is that?
I believe it's a Remington, but I'm not positive.
Are they like standard brown and black, all black, or camo?
The Benelli is black. The Browning is camo, and the pump is camo.
Would you have those serial numbers recorded anywhere?
I don't have them recorded, but I'm sure. I don't know where the pump shotgun exactly came from, but I should be able to have the Benelli and the Browning.
Okay. Because we don't know if they're stolen or where they are. So I really can't get them entered into NCIC.
Go ahead.
But I could alert the ATF to where if that gun is run, that there were to be an alert on it, and it would get me at least back to the gun and the person that may have had it.
Absolutely.
So if we could work on that and get those as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
You said Benelli's black, Alex camo, and the pump is camo?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The Browning is a brown camo, and the pump is a green camo. And, you know, I understand also that a 300 was used that night. And I know there's been some, I understand John Bedingfield said he only had 2 of those, one of which was lost 3 a long time ago, but I'm telling you, now I am certain that we replaced that gun. All right?
Actually, John knows that he sold Maggie a 3rd gun.
Okay. Okay.
And the story was that she was supposed to let you know that she paid for it for you to go sign the paperwork. And that never occurred.
Okay. So that's why it wasn't a number?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, he has the number. He just doesn't have a final sale on the ATF paperwork.
Okay. That was replacing the one that Paul
lost, yes.
That's correct.
And both of those 300s, those serial numbers are with the ATF and flagged in the system. So when they pop up, I'm going to get you to those.
Okay.
And that's, you know, we've talked about the shot shells. So the cartridge casings were 300 blackout cartridge casings that were found by Maggie. There were also cartridge casings found by your house, by the side door to the gun room, and at the shooting range by Maggie. There were also cartridge casings found by your house, by the side door to the gun room, and at the shooting range. And the ones by the house and some of the ones found at the shoot range are confirmed matches to the ones found by Maggie.
Okay.
So, which gets another concern. I've got the same load as the shot shells in multiple guns and 300 blackout that match ones found on your property.
So you now believe that those guns, that Paul's guns were used?
Yes.
Okay.
And the plot thickens. As you just heard it, Detective Owen drops probably the biggest bomb of the day, and something Alex knew nothing about. So he mentions those spent cartridges, the bullet casings that were fired from a 300 blackout that was used to kill Maggie. And he mentions those casings, those spent casings, were found around her body. But what he just informed Alex of was the fact that the same spent cartridges were found on another part of the property, totally separate from that night, but yet they were fired from the same gun. That's huge. Probably the biggest piece of evidence so far that Alex just became aware of. And let me tell you how they know that. Unlike when you fire a shotgun uses shells. Spent bullets, when they are fired from a rifle, they create striations. And that happens in pistols as well. But in this case, we're talking about rifles. But striations are basically lines in that spent bullet casing as you fire it. And those striation marks, they're unique from gun to gun, kind of like fingerprints. So this is valid proof that Paul's missing 300 blackout was used to kill Maggie. Valid proof. We continue.
And I understand that somebody had seen that gun recently, but, you know, and I'd asked Buster about it. I believe that gun has been gone since back before Christmas.
Mm-hmm. No one recalls Paul's first 300 going missing around Halloween at a party at Hampton.
Halloween of 2020?
When did y'all?
No, because that was
it was
years.
Yeah, it was whatever Christmas he got it. So it was 17. Christmas is 17. So it was the Halloween after in 18 is when Nolan believes it was taken out of Paul's truck. There was, it would take me a while to find those notes, but Mark Williams or Matt Williams is a family friend. And I may have the name wrong, but there was hundreds of people at this Halloween party. Nolan says adults were there, kids were there, and Nolan knows that the gun was in Paul's truck when they got to the party, and when they went to leave the party, it was gone. So that's the timeline on when that gun goes missing.
Okay. I mean, I knew it had been a while.
And then I think in April of 19 is when, April of 18.
This was the 16, January
Okay.
17 is when they did the
Gotcha. Gotcha. Another part in the 911 call, you made the comment, "I should have known." And the questioning that surrounded, dispatcher's asking, "Is anybody else supposed to be at the house?" And you said, "No, ma'am, please hurry." And she says, "We're getting somebody out there to you." And your next comment was, "I should have known." What are you referencing in that statement?
I don't remember saying that, but I guess, all the threats and I had been convinced it just was something to do with the boat wreck and, all of that.
Did Paul ever get physical with you? Did they ever get into a heated argument and get physical?
One time, a little bit where he wouldn't listen to me.
Did you ever get physical with him?
No, sir.
How about Maggie? Did Paul get physical with Maggie?
No.
Sure, she probably wanted to at times.
I'm sure she wanted to with all of us.
Yeah.
And the one time Paul did that, he had too much to drink.
Mm-hmm.
In a very isolated incident.
Where was that? Was that at Moselle or Edisto?
That was at Moselle.
So that was pretty recent.
No, sir. It had been a while.
When you turned Paul over and his cell phone popped out and you picked it up, and your statement was something like, "I thought about doing something, but then I put it back down." And that was the interview, our first interview. What were your intentions with the phone?
I don't know. I mean, when I went up to him and the phone came out, I don't remember having intentions of doing anything with the phone.
Going back when y'all ate dinner together after Miss Maggie got home and you and Paul got back from riding around.
So,
Can you estimate about how long y'all would have been at the dinner table or ate at the dinner table?
I mean, it wasn't any long drawn out dinner. You just.
I mean, just a guess is, you said there was conversation at the dinner table, but
15, 20 minutes. However long it takes to. Best guess.
okay.
He
David asked you just earlier about when y'all were riding around the farm, and you said y'all had the pistol in the truck. Y'all had shot a few times, really not target practice, but shot a few times. You said that you had, on that day, you didn't see any long guns, rifles, or shotguns in the vehicle. Prior to that, how long prior to that do you recall seeing guns or any guns in that vehicle?
I mean, Paul always had guns.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was very unusual for Paul not to have guns.
And when you say gun, is it rifles or shotguns or
Everything.
both? Okay.
Yes, sir.
His truck that he normally drove, I believe it was the Platinum, went into the shop that Friday prior to. I think Mark Ball went and got some video from Jimmy Butler's that shows Paul dropping the truck off and not removing anything from it. So basically, he would have taken the rifles out at home. Do you know what he did with those rifles? If he would have put them in a different truck, or if he put them in the house, or would he have? So the truck that he drove, where was it parked on that Friday? So where would he have swapped everything out?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where the truck that he drove on Friday. What truck did he swap out from?
I think when he went to Charleston, Dale said that he helped hook up the boat to one of the white Fords. And I know one's a gas and one's a diesel.
It wouldn't have been the gas truck going to Charleston. I'm not sure. So this occurred the Friday before everything happened?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure. On Friday, I had gone to stay in the hospital with my dad. I don't believe that I saw Paul. On Friday.
When did y'all go up to Columbia?
On Saturday.
Why didn't Paul go with y'all?
You know, I mean, Paul, he liked to go to sports when there was a crowd, but that wasn't his thing to go.
Is that always how it's always been, or because of the boat incident?
No. I mean, he wasn't into ball as much.
One thing that I'm trying to understand is your timeline. You said you probably went to the office 8:30, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and you left early around 5 or 5:30. And there's been some other timelines or times that we've talked about and you can't quite remember what the times are or what time of day it was. When the dispatcher asked you when was the last time you saw Maggie or talked to Maggie, you said an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. To me, that's, a set, without thinking about it, you rattled off that time. We're sitting here trying to figure out a timeline and you're having trouble coming up with a specific time.
Oh, that's fair.
Tell me again what I said to the dispatcher.
He said an hour and a half ago, probably 2 hours.
And what time was that?
That was when you were on the phone, and the 911 call was made at 10:06. So given 2 hours back, that would have been 8.
I mean, I think that's probably about, I think that's probably about right. And so what, you believe I'm giving you an inconsistent answer?
No, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it when I'm asking you what time you went to the office that day, what time you got home. You're saying 5 or 5:30. I've gotten the card readout from the law firm, and it shows you going in at 5:30.
Going in the door?
Yes, sir. And Randy says when he left about 6 o'clock, you were still there. So the times aren't matching up. And I'm just trying to get an understanding of why.
I believe I left, so that's not the first time I was at my office that day.
There were several readings, but your card wouldn't work. Somebody actually had to let you in.
Okay.
But I've got your card opening the door at the law firm at 5:30. And then Randy saying when he left at 6, you were still there. I'm trying to understand.
You know, I left the office earlier than I normally do.
What's your normal time to leave?
I mean, it's not unusual for me to be there till dark. You know, I try to get home when Maggie's home, before dark.
She don't like staying out there by herself in the dark.
That's right. So, if it was 5:30 or 6, I don't think I was still there at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
But, if I was, it wasn't long after that.
Okay.
So, I believe that I went straight home. So, my car, have y'all been able to get Chevrolet to download my?
We're still working on that.
Okay.
It's a long process.
Well, I mean, I got home early enough for Paul and I to ride the property for a substantial length of time. More than an hour. I thought probably a couple of hours that we were together, but somewhere.
Did you go down the river?
We rode down all the roads. I believe that we rode all over. We rode all over.
Okay. So what is David Owens doing here? Absolutely hammering that timeline. And he found a lot of discrepancies in what Alex was saying versus what he knew from investigating the case. One of those things that he brought up was the card used to access Alex's office was showing one time, and where Alex was claiming he was at that time, which was 5:30 p.m., was somewhere completely different. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out either somebody took your card and went in your office and unlocked the door, or you're lying. And listen closely to this one. David Owens breaks down a little of what he feels occurred that night. It's in this clip.
Have I been able to answer some of your questions? I know you probably have more. But with my questionings, trying to get some things cleared up, have I given you some answers?
Well, I do know more than I did, for sure. So, yes, I mean, some of those questions have certainly, yes, sir.
What
Good
other-
answer.
What other questions do you have that?
I would like to know exactly what happened.
Me too. The best that I've been able to put together.
Tell us, looks like, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I believe Paul was shot first. For the simple fact of where he was located.
How many times was he shot?
Twice.
I thought he shot Maggie first because they could tell he shot her in the back of the head.
We may honestly never know who was first, but I think it was Paul, for the simple fact he wouldn't have, if he saw his mother getting shot, he wouldn't have run to that feed ring. Unless that's where one of the guns was. But, you know, we've already established family guns were used. And if they came from Paul's truck was at the house. So where were they?
And how did he get down there?
And how did they get down there? I mean, it's normal for y'all to leave your keys in the cars. However, if somebody showed up and did this, you're not going to take Paul's truck back to the house and leave the key in it. You know, we've already established family guns were used. And if they came from Paul's truck was at the house. So where were they?
And how did he get down
And
there?
how did they get down there? I mean, it's normal for y'all to leave your keys in the cars. However, if somebody showed up and did this, you're not going to take Paul's truck back to the house and leave the key in it.
I mean, do you know that the guns were in the truck? I mean, could they have been somewhere else?
They could have been somewhere else. I mean, he didn't have his normal truck.
And I understand that Nolan Tootin believes he saw the gun 3 weeks beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't talked to him, but is he believes it was the one that, not the one that was at the house?
I think it was a Benelli was his shotgun that he always kept, that Paul always kept with him.
Paul primarily kept there were one of a couple of Benellis.
And it was a camo Benelli. Is the last one that Nolan saw.
Okay.
And HDD, some type of 7mm rifle.
Yes, sir.
Do you have that one at home?
Yes, sir. That's what he saw?
That's what he saw.
'Cause I was told by somebody that Nolan saw a 300.
He told me he had not seen a 300 since March after turkey season.
Okay, well, somebody.
But those were the go-to guns, and those are the last ones that he saw.
The
He said he had-
HDD and the.
And Benelli. He had not seen the 300 since March during turkey season.
And he definitely saw it during turkey season?
Yes.
Because there was some point, back when it was missing at Christmas time.
The third one's missing at Christmas time?
Yes, sir. So, anyway, he sold it in large.
Did y'all get any kind of forensic of anything that y'all found? That just the rain and the
I mean, we got plenty of DNA from the scene, but
yeah.
it's Nolan's, it's Rogan's, it's Alex, it's Paul's, it's Maggie's, it's Buster's.
Everybody's
Yeah.
David, can you tell me for sure? Did either one of them live after they were shot first time?
Not long.
Was that it?
The shooting happened very quickly. Very quickly.
Is this one person, two persons, three persons?
It's important to note throughout the entire investigation up to this point that this is the first time Alex ever asked Detective Owen throughout the whole investigation if Detective Owen felt there was more than one person involved. The very first time. That seems strange to me. We continue.
I got 2 guns. I got 2 different types of ammunition. It's hard to say. It is hard to say.
No, neither one of them suffered very long.
Matter of seconds, if that.
Thank you.
Have y'all been able to get anything involved that might lead to anybody? Would be? Let me ask you this question. Comes from Randy. Like I didn't talk to you about this, but it's okay. You know, they got a lot of friends in the community. You know, from the upper echelon to the lowest socioeconomic level. They think that they can ask people to keep ears out, you know, loose lips, talking, that kind of stuff, but they don't want to reach out to anybody. Not purpose, unless y'all think it's okay. I'm not talking about paying people to do stuff for investigators.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to Randy about this as well. He posed that question to me.
Right.
I'm not going to ask anybody in the law firm or anybody in the family, hey, go out and see what you can find and report back to me.
Sure.
Because then it can be construed as they're working as an agent of the state.
Sure.
And
I understand that completely. You don't even have to explain that.
Yeah.
I understand it.
So, I mean, I told Randy, I said, I certainly can't stop you from going out. But I wouldn't ask them what they know and then report back to me. Tell them to call me. Tell them to call the tip line we have still set up. Or if you hear somebody talking about it, encourage them to call. Or give me the name and I'll go call.
I hear what you're saying.
So David, we don't have not anything substantive that really makes you think, hey, this is a good.
We, like I said, the only DNA we have are family and close friends. We don't have any fingerprints. We don't have, unfortunately, we don't have any shoe wear or tire wear impressions because it rained that night. The only thing that we can go off of are the cell tower dumps, or I know the FBI was out and they were out on your property on Friday riding around trying to get some cell phone data. Unfortunately, all of that takes time.
And y'all had to send the because his vehicle's new, you had to send that off?
Yes, sir.
So it's not like when we hire experts, we come in and just download it.
It's 2021, and they don't have the systems for it yet.
Gotcha.
But they're working, they're creating a system, from what I understand.
Okay. Now, I don't know exactly how the OnStar thing works. I know how the control module works. But this is something different, right? Or is it all contained in the same thing?
There are two different systems that we took out.
Yeah.
One is OnStar, and the other one is the telemetry system or infotainment center.
Yeah.
And the FBI says there is information there.
Yeah.
They just have to be able to extract it and put it in a report.
Sure.
So
you're just waiting for
yes,
that?
I'm waiting on the search warrant from OnStar
Okay.
to see what kind of information they can give me.
Good.
Well,
There's
you need if us signing something expedites that. I told you we'll get.
I
I don't own the car, but whoever we need to will sign whatever authorization you need.
So you had said that, or maybe Jim told me or something about y'all were able to get in Paul's phone just with a search warrant.
We have a what they call a partial download.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the passcode.
Sure.
We can't do a full extraction.
Do you think so? You know, my thought was that I don't know who's required to authorize Apple to open it.
Mhm.
I know there was that big thing where they weren't going to do it
Yes,
for whatever case. But I thought that if we, I think Maggie owned the phone. I think it was in her name. The account was in her name.
Well, you have to have your own separate iCloud account for each phone, and we've done that for Maggie's, Paul's, and Alex.
Okay.
iCloud accounts
Yeah.
to see if there's anything in there.
Yeah.
There was nothing in Paul's. I'm still waiting on Maggie's.
Maggie did back hers up
Mhm.
and stuff. I know that. So
Does that mean Paul didn't back his up?
Probably.
But what my thought was, and I don't know if this is even possible, but if we get the estate and we get the personal representative who is now the authorized person to authorize it to be opened. I mean, surrounded by 100 lawyers, we get a probate done like that, and I can have the powers of appointment done in 2 days, and we can authorize whatever it is you need to open.
And that might be beneficial.
So
I think Randy and I, or somebody and I talked about that
yeah,
before.
yeah. Well, and I said I'd do it. Any of us can do it.
Yeah. Who would be the representative? Just somebody at a law firm.
Probably one of your brothers, I would think.
for Maggie and Paul's estate,
Yeah.
probably me or
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
one of
I'll
my
do
brothers,
it.
but whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Whoever it
Yeah.
is will do whatever
Yeah.
y'all need to do to. No, it won't be anybody that'll be uncooperative.
Okay. Well, if y'all would go ahead and start working on that,
All right.
then we'll reach out to Apple and figure out how we get that accomplished.
All right. Because gotta be something there.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be something there. I can't think of anything else. I mean, have y'all had to track down all the wackos on the internet? Or just only the ones that you think seem a little more, not the opportunity and the inclination, you know?
There's been a few that I'm looking at,
Yeah.
but some of the information is just so far fetched. I talked with one guy. He called in and says, "Well, I knew that Maggie's son bought a house right around the corner." I'm like, "Okay, well, no, they didn't."
Yeah.
That Maggie had left her husband some time ago and was going to move to Florida to be closer to her father because the mother was dead.
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Okay, thank you, God."
Mhm. So it's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, people that want to get involved.
Yeah.
People that think they have some information. Especially the matter of death. They're all over the place.
Well, I mean, y'all been taking a licking in the press about not disclosing stuff, but Jesus Christ, man.
I don't have anything to disclose.
Well, and why are you going to tell the bad guy what you got?
Thank you.
I mean, I just don't understand it. I mean, look.
Nobody wants to know more than this man right here and this man right here.
I know.
Everybody else.
I believe that.
Everybody else.
David, how far apart in time were the shot? And did one of them know the other one was dead or had been shot?
I think it's impossible to answer that question. I think it is impossible.
But you certain Paul was shot first?
I believe he was. I'm not certain. I believe he was.
Maggie would have known that then, wouldn't she? You don't know how soon afterwards she was shot?
And it all depends on how many shooters were there. I mean, if we're looking at two shooters, it could have happened at the same time. If we're looking at one shooter, it would have happened. And I know you can't help but think about it, but don't beat yourself up over getting that answer. It's not going to do anything to you.
When I ask you, now that you talked to me, are you willing to, if some of my family, Maggie's mom and dad or sister, are you willing to talk to them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'll meet them where they want to.
It would be easy if you could meet them closer to them.
Yeah. I mean, I live in Charleston, so it's nothing for me to shoot up to Somerville and meet with the Brandsters.
Thank you. I know y'all are doing everything you can. And I don't take any personal offense at asking me these questions. I know you got to do what you got to do.
Well, I mean, and I hate to give any credence to the media, but with the media keep throwing you in there, then
you gotta ask the questions.
If I can get every bit of evidence possible, that's going to exonerate.
When you get my car stuff, that'll help.
Al, you said earlier Maggie didn't like staying out there by herself.
Yes, sir.
Was there any kind of, I know we asked you once before in one of the earlier interviews about cameras, and have y'all talked about doing any kind of camera system out there, stuff getting missing, Maggie talking about stuff getting missing? We're hearing that type of stuff, so.
We never really had problems with stuff missing, but we still talked about getting, cameras and, doing all of that, but we just hadn't done it. We talked about it for a while.
But not really any conversation about stuff up and walking away or getting missing between you and Maggie.
Any conversations between me and Maggie about stuff?
You and Maggie, or you and Paul, either one, about stuff that had been missing, or had somebody came up and taken from the bar or from the house or anything like that?
Only thing that I can remember being discussed missing was some drills and some Milwaukee tools.
How long ago was that?
It was since CD got hired, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
because that was one of the things Paul, when he was looking for him, was going to ask CB. And I'd had a boy working out there for just a short period named Matt Luce. Is that the first time you've heard his name?
The last name, yeah. I've heard the different Matt.
Matt Luce. I think it's spelled Luce.
Okay, so I brought you all the way through this thing. And finally, just before the interview wrapped up, at the best time possible when he could catch Alex completely off guard, Detective Owens asked the question we have probably all been waiting for. Listen to this.
A few more questions.
Okay.
Did you kill Maggie?
No. Did I kill my wife?
Yes, sir.
No, David.
Do you know who did?
No, I do not know who did.
Did you kill Paul?
No, I did not kill Paul.
Do you know who did?
No, sir, I do not know who did. Do you think I killed Maggie?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts
I
take me.
understand that. And you think I killed Paul?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts take me, and I don't have anything that points to anybody else at this time.
So does that mean that I am a suspect?
You were still in, like I told Corey earlier, you were still in this. With everything that we've talked about, with the family guns, the ammunition, nobody else's DNA. I have to put my beliefs aside and go with the facts.
And there it was, straight up. And you could almost sense Alex Murdaugh squirm. And shout out to SLED Detective David Owens. I've seen well over 1,000 interrogation videos total doing what I do. And I am telling you, this may be one of the best interrogations I've ever seen. Perfect job by Detective Owens. And there you have it. Now, next week, we will pick up with what occurred immediately following this interview. And if you think things are crazy now, just wait until you find out what happens next. I want to thank everyone for listening. Please continue to share the podcast. It is how we grow. Thank you to all of you who have rated us on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. If you have not yet done so, please give us a rating. I can't tell you how much that helps push us up the feed. The more people that hear this, the more successful this podcast becomes, the more we can continue it. And it's so important right now. Thank you so much. Check out the Patreon. We do all kinds of stuff on that page. We upload case documents for upper tier level members. We give bonus episodes. We give early releases that are commercial free. And hey, if you're a top tier global celebrity, you get shout outs, you get quarterly gifts. If you have not got one and you are a global celebrity, that's our top tier on Patreon. Hit me up and let me know, and I'll make sure you get that. And until next time, for Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite, I'm your host, Jim Chapman. Much love.